Good morning. This is Roger Demuth, and I wanted to share with you a couple of sketchbooks that I prepared for a ceramics class that I took a few years ago. And it was so handy to have these sketchbooks with me when I went into class, so I would do my thinking outside of class and the construction during the class. And that's a real dynamic thing that happened. So I could just get there, turn to any page, and then I'd see what I was going to do for the day. And so these are sketches that I did. They're all done with Lumicolor F pens by Staedtler Mars. Here's one of them. And they're permanent ink, Lumicolor pens, Staedtler. And I use the size F mostly now. And all these were done with a size F pen. And once they're, immediately they're ready to color on, but I would just do the sketches. I would just come up with whatever I could. I would just imagine hundreds and hundreds of different types of objects. And then I'd get into class and start building them. This is kind of fun. This is a easel box, which I constructed, and I built quite a few of these pieces. And at the end of this video, I'll slip in a few of the actual objects that were constructed. And the detailing, these are box designs. And then I just went through and I quickly painted them with watercolors, and I wasn't very precise or accurate, didn't want to be, but it just added a little depth to them. And then I could visualize it when having that kind of a road map for me was very, very beneficial when constructing these pieces. Look at this. This was done before Donald Trump was elected president, so I was quite roundly ridiculed in class. You like that guy? And no. But I did make a number of Donald Trump products and ceramic sculptures, and it's interesting how some of these sketches and just rough ideas became the finished pieces later on down the road. So this is one in particular. And towards the end of each class, I wanted to do something that was kind of proof of my skill levels, and so this ended to be one of those pieces. And let me just skip a few pages. And these little alligator feet and details that were in the concept stage, and then became the finished pieces. I had a plate made of these, magnesium plate, place near Buffalo, and they made magnesium plates for me, and then I could stamp these in the bottoms of the three-dimensional objects that I made, and I stamped them in just about every piece, so they're very clearly identified. And variations, look at that, all these, and that was a good thing about these sketches. And then people in the news would end up, so Sarah Palin, I don't know what the object is, but she had a clock around her neck. I was trying to make tacky objects for a while. Then I discovered the Martin Brothers pottery in England, and they did the most grotesque and ugly things you've ever seen in your life. From 1843 to 1923, they were in business, and they did the Wally Birds series, and at the time I think they were just kind of disregarded, but then at the end of their lifetime, the pieces sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Quite remarkable, actually. And this was one of my ugly pieces that I wanted to construct, and then influenced by the Martin Brothers. So it's kind of funny when you find those historic pieces that play a part in your own work. and that not everything is meant to be pretty. And let me just skip a couple of pages here. I've marked a few. And this was kind of fun. Those developed into a series of snake platters. And I'll tell you, it's easier to make the pieces than it is to glaze the pieces. And that took me years to learn something that was compatible with my work. I always wondered why the pieces were so kind of ugly and shiny, and then I learned, you just trial and error before you find something that works. I'll show you some examples shortly. I made molds. This was a really a great learning experience. And so these are plaster molds. I'd construct the positives, then make the negatives, then force clay into the negative shapes so you'd get another positive out of it. And some of them turned out just great. It's like a three-dimensional Xerox machine. And it's really just a remarkable thing when that happens. And these are the molds that happened after a while. So, and I went on and on trying to figure things out, and especially this one kind of in particular. I found some bok choy cabbage, and I forced that into clay, and then made molds of that, and then made plaster molds of it, and turned out very successfully, so that you could just kind of print out a 3D leaf all at once very quickly and make a whole head of cabbage and then bend it and fit it together. This was a piece on the Antique Roadshow, and it was a bottle, a very figurative bottle. Someone thought it was a child's toy. She played with it for years and found out it was by a certain pottery in the south of the United States, and worth tens of thousands of dollars, actually. So let me move along to the one of the other sketchbooks, and this is a second version here. And I always had these things ready to go when I went into class, and just did saved a couple of pages in the front for the frontispiece. And then I was inspired by the Kardashian family and how screwed up they were at the time, and still are. And so I made lots of figures in the news, Morley Safer, Scott Disick, and the whole crew, actually. And let me just skip back here. There was a Clint Eastwood brush holder and skull. These are toothbrush holders. So I was trying to think of how I could make real products, but still have some fun with them. Chris Christie cookie jar. Mitt Romney's wallet watercolor kit. I did build that one. That was kind of fun. And I don't know, Jean Kasem, wife of Casey Kasem. And those were pencil holders. And look at Mr. Potato over here. And let me skip that. It's a Dick Cheney series of products. And, oh, this was inspired by the Wee Forest folks. One of my students in the Massachusetts, Boston area, was the quality control manager of Wee Forest folks. And I always liked them. They were these little tiny mice things that sold in, gifty shops for, phenomenal amounts of money. I just couldn't believe it. And they were all hand-colored in Massachusetts, which was quite remarkable. They said Hallmark tried to buy the company and they didn't want to sell it, and then they came out with their own line of well, they weren't the Wee Forest folks, but they were something very similar. Prisoner brush holder, Eiffel Tower water dish, Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman brush holders. Oh, that's a nice one. Comes right out of the top of her head. And look at this one here. Old hippie brush holder, Scared as Hell brush holder. Katrina Vanden Heuvel brush holder. That's a funny one. She's a political person. And so I made a lot of these boxes, picture frames, tape dispensers. This one's on the shelf here now. And a lot of these boxes I constructed, and all of these decorative objects. What I liked about the Wee Forest folks is that they were dioramas, and they were, you know, a complete picture unto itself, and which led me to the Walter Potter Museum in England, looking up animal dioramas. And he was a taxidermist, and he actually constructed little dioramas using dead kittens, and was quite an attraction until it went out of favor in the just recently, you know, 20, 30 years ago. I guess it was all taken apart and sold at auction. They were dreadful little things of, you know, the Queen's procession, all made out of mice and etc. So anyway, and so, but some of these were inspired by that that series of dioramas. So no animals were harmed in the making of any of my 3D ceramic pieces. And I did make a few of these things that didn't work. The tape dispenser was one, and these picture frames were others. Oh, this is the severed hand of a Paris pickpocket, business card holder, and watercolor set. And it has little depressions to put your pigments in it. And these were inspired by Bernard Palissy. He was a kind of a god of the Majolica ceramic, the beginning of that series of work of Majolica work. And portrait of the studio, all objects that could be constructed. So this is really just an idea book, and it's many, many pages of just ideas, and so useful to have when you're taking a ceramics class or envisioning anything. So it always starts out with a sketch. All right, I guess that's a good place to leave it. And I'll start to include a few other of the finished objects shortly. For more information, go to rogerdemuthceramics.com. Thank you. As I said before, having a good plan is really important in ceramics. So I'm including some of these original sketches next to the constructed piece, so you get a better idea of how I thought about the project and then how I finished it. In this case, these little mortuary boxes for pets. In this case, a drawing table to create more ceramic tiles, including a drawer at the bottom. Don't blame me for this man, but a sketch of a Donald Trump bank with dead squirrels, and to the right a portrait of his father by Bill Maher. I did the painting, it's just from a photo. This is the tiny squirrel kitchen, and this is the plaque that goes with it. And these are the drawings for the kitchen and rooms in a house. This is the completed project. And one of the more extensive boxes that I created, and this is it here. So sketches, idea, then the completed piece. This is a woodland scene platter, kind of a very elaborate piece. Thank you. It's been great. And for more information, go to rogerdemuthceramics.com.